All right, there it is. We're live. Dominik, welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, Zach. I'm fine. Thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good. It's good to have you back on. Got
Always a
stock
pleasure.
Altan. I just know you as Altan. I'm trying to read your Twitter handle. You're returning again. You've been on in some NX Lives in the past. So I get to connect you two now. So that's cool. But speaking of connections, Dominik's got some cool new lanyards in his background from some conferences, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually just React Amsterdam, like the one from this year and the one from the year before that. I
Gotcha.
have actually never been to a different conference, but I'm trying to up my game a little bit and do some more later this year.
Try to branch out from just the blog.
Yeah, going from written content to like live content like this one, and then maybe some spoken content as well. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Are you still doing live streams on your own channel?
I did one a couple of weeks ago, but not too regularly. That was pretty fun. I was building a like query adapter based on the query core for a framework, which name I forgot right now because I'm very bad remembering these things. I've done so many things since then. It was about web components.
Lit, maybe?
Lit, yeah, that's it exactly.
There you go.
Oh god,
Cool.
I'm terrible. But that was fun to do because it just shows how little work there goes into building like an adapter. It's just a couple of lines of code and you get all the features of a React query, just not for React. So that's pretty fun.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, we were talking about the Austrian connection here too, between Dominik and Miro, one of our engineers. So apparently y'all met at the last.
Yeah, we met recently in Amsterdam. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, Miro's in Tel Aviv right now. So shout out to Miro, giving a talk. What was the name of that conference again? We just looked up. React
TLV
Next.
node. Oh yeah, React Next.
React Next.
So cool. Hope that's going well. But we're here today to talk about. Well, Dominik's here, so we're here to talk about Tanstack query. Let me go ahead and share my screen. We can kind of introduce the problem a little bit because I think it's interesting. Let's see.
Yep.
Let's move ourselves down here. That works all right. So really, what we're looking at is strats for package validation when supporting multiple versions of dependencies. I've got here a little chart that shows us like this is kind of all the stuff that Tanstack query supports in terms of frameworks at this level. And then there's also like a core dependency on TypeScript, I think. Is this pretty much accurate, Dominik, or would you add some more here? I know there's also like the core that maybe that's what this represents too.
You can maybe just show the NX graph that we have in the repository because that shows you pretty well. How the dependencies flow. I mean, we also have examples in the repository, and the examples are also hooked up to the PNPM packages. So actually, you get like 52 or whatever packages. But
I always forget y'all have those examples in there.
So yeah, you need to. If you open it up in the browser, then you can toggle away the examples, and then it'll become hopefully a nice little tree that's not too convoluted.
Yeah, let's see. So I want to just target the packages, right? There we go.
Yeah, just the packages. So as you said, at the core, there is the query core. So I think everything depends on that. And then on top of that, we have the solid, Svelte, Vue, and React adapters. They're right above it. And then there are some other things that are a bit more dependent on other stuff. So there's things relevant for persistence. Persistence also has like the persist core, which then has persisters for different kinds like sync and async, and also for frameworks like React. And we're still in the process of adding persisters for the other frameworks. And then there is the dev tools, which are pretty new. So this is like the agnostic dev tools, which only used to exist in React. And now we have them, to be able to use the same dev tools that a co-maintainer made, Arian made them in Solid, but you can use them in all the frameworks. And then you kind of have also different packages for that.
Right. So go into persist real quick. I'm assuming persist is like storing the data from your caches inside of local storage. So they're there for other sessions or when you open another tab. Okay.
So you can define a persistor, and it has to just conform to an interface. And conveniently, you can use local storage, or you can use session storage if you want. But you can also plug in your own, or you can use, I think, React Native as async storage, or you can use local forage, which is a pretty like well-used library for that. But anything that's either writes synchronously or asynchronously to a storage or reads from it can use the persisters. And what the package does basically is just hook up the query cache subscription to it, and then everything that you have in your local in-memory cache that you want to persist will be persisted to a separate storage. And then on the next page load, when you come back, it will be hydrated from there, and you'll get like instant page loads.
Makes sense. Very cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess coming back to the graph here, though, today what we really wanted to do is talk about your CI solution. So part of CI's job is to just run validation on like the new code you're submitting and make sure, like, for example, when you make a change that, the React package still works correctly. And I think, like, for the most part, that's pretty solid. That's pretty easy to do. But things get a little tricky when we add this other, I guess, fold of dimensions into things when we're supporting multiple versions of that dependency. So, for example, we want to make sure Tanstack query React supports the current version of React, but we also may want it to support a legacy version, which I think is the case in main still. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Or okay.
We made our tests to work against React 18 and React 17 on the main branch, because we wanted to use the useSync external store hook, which only exists in React 18. So React ships with a shim that you can use for 17 to kind of like get a similar behavior. At least you get a similar API, but a different implementation based on use effect. And we wanted to test that everything like works with both implementations of it. But for the upcoming major version 5, we've dropped support for React 17 anyways, so that's no longer an issue. But maybe what we're going to, or probably maybe should do, is like test against the React canaries as well. Because like there's this thing that Next.js actually uses the canaries anyways. So
that's kind of going off on Twitter right now, right?
I think it's the hot topic of the day, like who is using canaries and should you do that or not. But I think running your tests against canaries, at least maybe like on a nightly way or whatever, is not a bad idea, because then at least you get early feedback. You can still maybe decide to ignore it for now or whatever, but to see what might break in the future, a bit like strict mode. It's not wrong. It might be annoying, but it's not wrong.
Right. Yeah, I wonder especially for canaries, when you mentioned like a nightly build, I wonder if instead of like doing something like that as part of like your CI that's going to trigger off of a PR, if that would be better to just do it on like a cron job where you do it once a night. And then it doesn't matter if it fails, like you get the feedback, but yeah, you don't get you don't get like the thing preventing you from doing it. Yeah, we've got Kevin in the chat here, by the way. I was just noticing the chat. Shout out to Kevin. He does Tanstack tables. I like tables, so he's cool. Kevin, I want to get you on sometime still, so let me know. But yeah, apparently canaries are stable. And shout out to Sina here too. He knew about lit as well.
Yeah, so. That's embarrassing.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I do the same thing all the time. I feel like, especially when you start streaming, there's like a weird debuff that hits developers, especially when you're leading stuff. But all right, well, so we've talked about that a little bit. Could we talk about so y'all actually have a strategy right now for React for how you test that in our main branch? Again, like you said, for version 5, the alpha you're working on, you kind of sunset that because we only have one version of React. But I believe we were just looking at earlier today, Vue, you also have something similar where you're testing other versions of Vue. you're kind of, I think there's a different strategy you use to test that. Is that correct?
Yeah, because for Vue, it actually tests against 3 different versions of Vue. I think version 2, 2.7, and then version 3. And
Okay.
I'm not sure how this is set up exactly, but I think there's a dependency that you can use that will then switch out the node modules on the fly, and you just run it once, and then you switch out Vue in your node modules, and you run it the second time, and then run it the third time.
Okay. Well, let's.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, the thing that I would actually be most interested, I think that makes a lot of sense for us, is to look at TypeScript as a dependency, because we are actually supporting multiple versions of TypeScript. I think I have to look it up in the docs, but I think we say we go back until version probably 4.7 or 4.8. So up until now, my strategy was to kind of pin the dependency in our repository to the lowest dependency that we support, like pin it to 4.7, develop against 4.7, and run all our tests against 4.7. But actually, I think it would be, and I've done this in another repository, another library that I'm maintaining, which is Remeda, which is also like a heavy TypeScript library, where we said, well, let's just run our test and our type test suite against multiple versions of TypeScript. Like if we want to support 4.7 until 5.1, let's just have 5 pipelines that test against each of those versions. And that's what we have there. And it's pretty brilliant, because we did already catch a bug where we wanted to ship something, and then it didn't work in, I think, 4.8 or whatever. So we had to kind of look back at that. It's Remeda with an E. Yeah.
I spell it wrong. So one of these?
It's REMEDA.
REME.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly, this one. Yeah.
This one? Cool.
Yeah.
So when
hey, we crossed 3K stars. That's nice.
Congrats!
I missed that. That's cool.
It's very cool. So I imagine over here, so you've got something of a matrix going on with your TypeScript versions. And so one of the reasons we brought Altan on is this is kind of hard to do sometimes when you're trying to set things up with NX Cloud and using DTE, right? So Altan, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the problems we face there and how we recommend getting around that?
Yeah. So historically, and I think Dominik, you probably saw a little bit of this when Zack helped try and get DTE going in Tanstack query earlier, is that we need some sort of way to, when we're using distributed task execution, to basically correlate a given command with a given set of agents. And so we've seen this in all sorts of ways, right? You might have something where, I'm in a larger enterprise project and I need my my builds to run on a more powerful machine, or my tests and lints can run over here, and we're going to do that because it's cheaper for us. Or we have something more version specific, like what you're doing. Now, historically, the way that we did this was, I won't call it a black box, but it was less clear how to configure it. And so we did that by explicitly defining what we called a run group. And so a run group is exactly what the name would imply. It's like a group of your NX commands that might run together, and agents being spawned with that run group mean that they can pick up commands that are created for that. What we've done is actually change this into more of a concept that we call a CI pipeline execution. And so now what we've done is when you go and you run your CI pipelines, you kind of have an overarching ID for all of the commands that you might run in there. But you can set specific commands to run in an environment, right? So an environment might be a larger runner. It might be a specific OS. So let's say you're on a multi-platform project and you need to run React Native tests on Mac OS or something. Or for what we're going to set up here, a different TypeScript version. And so, let's work through this. I think that with a matrix strategy, this should be pretty straightforward for us to set up, and it should be fairly understandable for anybody that comes in and looks at the project. So let's give it a try.
Okay, cool. Let me throw this back up. I was as you were explaining it, Altan, I was trying to pull up on query over here on the left-hand side. This is the Remeda on the right hand. But I was trying to see, it looks like right now, at least in alpha, we're not using DTE, unless I'm missing it somewhere. Is that correct?
We are. No, I think if you open up a pull request, you would see that I think it distributes over 4 agents.
I wonder if am I looking at the wrong workflow file? Oh, yes, I am. I was looking at CI.
Yes, you are.
PR.
CI is just a release thingy, and that's
Gotcha.
the PR one is the one that, yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. Okay, so we can see here. So this is sort of our main job. Let me make that a little bit bigger for folks. Let's focus in on this one. So we're doing some things here with the main job where we're setting things up. We're setting up PNPM. We're setting up Node. We're installing our dependencies. All basic stuff there. We're also setting like the NX base and NX head here so we can use affected well. But here we can see essentially this command is what we end up running. And this is going to do most of our validation for us. Now, because we actually run this command first, what we're saying is when we run a command with NX to actually not run it locally, but to instead distribute it to our various agents that are running. And then, it becomes pretty simple. From the main job, we just run the commands, but then we have these agents down below that are just sitting up. You can see right here, they do kind of the same thing to start everything up, but then they just run this command that signals them that they're just waiting around for sort of commands to come in. Am I explaining this all right, Altan? You might do better to explain it.
No, I think that's good. Yeah, that's good so far.
Cool. So I guess what we want to figure out here is how to incorporate the new features that you had mentioned, Altan. You want to drive me a little bit and tell me where to make some changes in this file? Let me actually pull it up here in VS Code. But YAML.
So the thing is that the only thing that we would actually want to run against multiple TypeScript versions is the test types like task, because that is the one that actually runs the TypeScript compiler with no emit and just tries to check if all the typings that we would generate are actually working with that version. So I think we don't need to run like the test lib, which basically runs vtest, I think, and the test ESLint, because those hopefully don't change over TypeScript version. So I think doing the test types is the one that we want.
Oh, okay. So this is actually good. I think this makes it a better example, because now we can do something that's more additive than potentially breaking what's already there.
Oh, nice.
Killer.
So we're gonna use something that I am actually not super familiar with GitHub Actions wise, which is a multi-dimension matrix, which sounds a lot more intense than hopefully it ends up being.
Well, I'm just intimidated enough just using the normal matrices, but
it sounds like from the future.
Yeah, exactly. How many dimensions are we going to?
Altan's living in 2025 right now.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's take a look at maybe the top of this job so we can start stealing some things from it. So we have main, and let's just kind of run through what it's doing. So we check out the code, we set up PNPM, we get Node, we get our dependencies, set SHAs, and we start our CI run. Cool. So let's add a yeah, that's a good start to copy. So let's just go paste that down, and let's call the job something like I don't know, test matrix.
Okay. Type test matrix, maybe.
Perfect. Yeah.
What's a proper casing for jobs? I don't know.
I think it's all dash case.
Yeah, it's a kebab case.
Kebab case. Yeah. Cool.
And we can change the name property there.
Yeah. Okay. Type test matrix. Cool. think everything else looks about right. Like we should be set. I actually don't know if we need this piece or not. I don't know. Maybe we do.
I think that we will, because we still only want to run this against our affected project, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
So is the mental model here, Altan, that we're just going to start another, like start running another one of these things where we call start CI run, or?
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna end up playing a little bit with some environment variables, and then we will call another start CI run. And we're doing pretty well on time. So if we get this working, maybe we can try and kind of smash these back together with the original pipeline.
Cool. So somewhere in here we're going to do some other steps, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah, so I think we might be able to what we'll end up doing is here we go. It is okay, so let's start the matrix, get the matrix configured, and then we'll be able to do this fancier TypeScript stuff. So up around line 99, let's add a key under runs on, and that's called strategy. And we'll have a child key for strategy that's called matrix.
I'm not very good at YAML, so I hope I'm doing that right.
Yep, it looks correct.
Just let Copilot do it for you. I think
I know.
Got it right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess at this point we're kind of copying what we saw with Ramada, right?
Yeah, it's going to be very similar.
Okay. Yeah, just like this, I imagine.
Yep.
Are these the versions you want? Dominik?
I'd want 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, 5,
right,
and 5.1.
Hang on.
But
let me get that in.
We can like just from 4.7, like all upwards.
Okay. So we'll say 4.7. Is there anything after 4.9? Is there a 4.10?
No, there's 5 zeros afterwards. They're in this like decimal versioning or whatever it is, where after 4.9 comes 5.0.
Nice.
But every minor is actually breaking. So there's like the TypeScript is weird. Like,
it's not semper
it's all majors, and then
That's very odd. So it's literally decimal. Like once you get to the 10th, 4, you just go, okay.
It's actually version 50, I think, and then that's basically so we have 50 and then 51 and 49. So that's how I read those versions.
I never knew that. Well, that's really neat. All right. So now we've got our matrix. So now is the idea we could use it in this step?
Exactly. So now what we can do is I'm actually curious if basically when do we have these values from the matrix defined to us? So like, can we set an environment variable at the top level job based on the value that we get out of the matrix? Right? Does that make sense? Is that phrased in a way that is reasonable? So like, rather than repeat, the interpolated matrix.version everywhere.
Oh, I see. Like you want to do something, a step up here to just set an environment variable to like current TypeScript version.
Right. Or if we could just do that for the whole job. I'm not sure if it's available. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not that good with actions. I've just messed around with them enough to know some things,
Yeah.
Let me see how Ramada's doing it while you're looking at stuff there too, Altan. We can figure it out.
I think we just use like matrix.typescript version. Like So if you scroll up a little, that's the node one. Yeah. So in line 49, exactly. So there we edit. This uses yarn. So we would do the same with PMPM probably.
Right. Let me see. Was that TypeScript version? Okay, so that's actually that matches the name that we gave it in the YAML. So
and cool. I don't know what the difference would be to add it to an environment variable, or what the advantage would be there. Is it because then NX can pick it up, or?
Yeah, so what we would like, well, just for the sake of being a little more terse, we could put it into an environment variable so we don't have to explicitly define it for our NX stuff. But yeah, let's keep it explicit for right now. And then that can be like a refinement step.
Yeah. So I'm on like installing other TS versions. Am I skipping a step by doing that? Do we need to define it to NX first, or doesn't matter?
No, I think that's fine. That should be good.
But we
that
don't
looked
need
right.
that if.
I just trusted Copilot blindly. But
I'd remove the if and just do the pm add.
Okay.
That looks correct.
Yep, I agree. And so now what we can do, and what we've been setting up here is kind of like our orchestrator job, like we've got defined on line 133. And what this will do is basically go off and talk to NX Cloud and say, hey, these are the tasks that I want to run. And our agents that we'll set up in a second will go ahead and pick up those tasks based off of what they're assigned from our matrix.
Oh, I see. Do we need to designate a separate set of agents then?
We will, and that's why we're going to be doing the another matrix.
Okay, gotcha.
So what we can do here is let me grab our.
Yeah, I know Copilot's lying to us here. I'm pretty sure actually. That definitely seems wrong, but.
Yeah, so let's I think we can let's just define this like explicitly in the commands as an environment variable. So on line 134 right now, or if you can remove 132.
Okay.
And so on line 134, before the npx, let's set the variable nx ci execution env. And we'll say that equals, this.
Cool.
And so what this is doing is this is starting basically a group of tasks that our agents will be able to pick up, and only agents that are keyed with the same environment will be able to grab these. And so what that lets us do is make sure that we're not going to be running agents that have, say, TypeScript 4.7, but trying to run tests and claim they're against version 5.
Right. Cool. So I think I can probably figure out how to do the rest from here, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we just take the agents, grab all of this, and we're going to paste it in here.
Yep.
Do some of this, agents for type testing. And here for the matrix, we're just going to copy the matrix from here.
Yep.
Boom.
This is actually where we'll need the 2D matrix.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
So it's actually not that much different. So if you just undo this and you actually leave agents 0, 1, and 2, or 1, 2, and 3 here, and then just add your property below it.
Oh.
Now we have both of those available to us, and it'll do kind of an M by N.
Wow.
Very nice and
that's
nice
really
and usable.
Cool. I had no idea that you could do that. That's awesome. So the idea here is that for each one of the TypeScript versions, we have 3 different agents.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. And then down here, grab this.
Yep, exactly.
And we'll hit that. That's it, I imagine.
Yep, there's one thing that we're missing.
Do we need to end this one up here at some point?
So we might want to end it. It should end automatically, but we also want to actually start our NX command. So when we run NX Cloud start CI run, the only thing we're doing is kind of preparing NX. We're like staging it.
Right. Or type test. And so here we would run. Let me just grab it from here because we also have to remove it. We probably want to remove it from the original ones.
Yep. I would remove it from the original one because we're running. And then I would have to look it up. I don't know if test types depends actually on test build. We need to look this up if there are any dependencies in the in our NX config.
Okay. We can take a look at that, but I believe even if there were, NX would just know to run those first.
It just reads it from the cache. Yeah. And then it only runs it once anyways. I was just thinking, it would do like unnecessary things because but it never does. That's the beauty of it.
That would actually that's maybe an improvement too that we could make, is basically say, we're going to run all of your kind of core test stuff, and only if that passes will we bother spinning up all of these agents to do your type testing.
So right now we're not doing that though, right?
Right.
With what we just did. Yeah.
Right.
So it's just like, as far as GitHub Actions knows, it's just do all these things, and there's no dependency between those. But that would be really cool if we could say only do this if all the other stuff passes. I bet there's probably a way we could do that, right? I'm not good enough with GitHub Actions to do that on the fly. But I think this is
one question, Zack.
One
question. Are you sure it's NX run many? Because we usually run it with affected to only run the ones that actually have a change.
I think that would be fine. Trying to think.
Should be good, I think, because we'll use the same set SHA's result as we got from the other one.
We do have that set up. That was the thing I was questioning whether we needed, but we definitely do need that if we want to use affected for sure.
And then the one other thing I see is on 136, let's make sure the job has a distinct name. So like the job key, not the display name.
Agents.
Yep.
For type testing. Yes. Yep. That looks good, I think. Do we try it?
Yeah, let's push it and see what fails.
All right, let's see what happens.
And then we can do a double check.
Do you have a branch already?
No, but we're working on it. Check out Zack. I don't know. This is not just Zack. I guess this is the NX Live TS matrix, we'll call it. Not -v -bb. There we go. And so this does not include the bumping of the versions I did earlier today, Dominik. So I think we should be okay.
Yeah. I didn't merge that because something failed.
I saw that. That may be another interesting thing to talk about if we have some more time, because there's just some other interesting things that come up when you use DTE. I think that was like around the retry that we're seeing some failures. But let's focus on this first. So what do I want to call this? I guess this is just adding the TS matrix, and hit push. We'll send it up to my fork. Okay, and let's copy that, and
I just merge it right away.
You have a lot of faith in us here, Dominic. I appreciate that, but
let's give it a shot. Just in YAML files in general. Nothing ever goes wrong there.
I never trust it, man. What's wrong with
no
JSON?
Conflicts. That's always all good.
Looks good. All right. Cool.
So the first step will be seeing that our fresh jobs actually show up as pending checks.
I know.
That it might take just a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes. Let me open up. Let me look at the actions while that's running. Yeah, I think we failed right away. So it's probably something I did. Probably something I left out. Startup failure. Let's see what I did. Well, that's not super helpful.
Now I could also be
a syntax error, or what's the?
Normally, if it's a syntax error, it gives us something that lets us know what it was. But right now, I literally can't click through anything. I guess I can drag this, but there's no jobs for me to click over here. So I don't know what happened.
GitHub is not having an incident. So let's roll.
That will be fun.
Yeah, let's roll that out.
Okay, good.
There it is. If you scroll to the bottom, it says the workflow is invalid. PR YAML line 136 unexpected value agents for type testing. I think you need to scroll like out of this gray box and then scroll to the bottom, because it's like a scrolling box in a scrolling box. Yeah, it's like UX, and then there you are.
Does it not like kebab case? Oh, I wonder if my YAML was off, like you were saying, Altan. Let's see. Let's take a look.
I can't hold it against you. So maybe the indent is wrong. That looks like
I
what
think
it
it
is.
must be. Yeah. Yeah,
It needs-
definitely.
Oh god.
There we go. I think we go one.
When did we agree that indentation based like validation is a good thing?
I told you, man. What's wrong with JSON? I don't know. But I think that's better. Let's try that. Okay. Give that a shot. Oh, okay. All checks passed. We're good. Should I?
Yeah. Where are the other checks?
I don't know. Let's refresh and see. GitHub, I think, is having a bad day, or we're just having a. We're just giving it a bad day.
Did you push it?
I believe I did. Let's check.
Because I don't see any other commits, and there is
Nothing
no.
Oh, I
no
hit and
need-
saved.
Yeah.
Yes. There we go.
Aha.
Typical Zack. Altan, do you remember the video where I actually left that in on one of the videos and like did the weird music?
Whoa! It's running. Open up the.
Oh my
open up
gosh!
the
Look
actions.
at all these.
It's like it has started 15 agents.
Well, I didn't expect it to appear like this, but now we know it's working.
Excellent.
Holy. Wow.
All right. Well, we're going to test GitHub's ability to give us agents here. What are we looking at here? If we look at the matrix, 3 by
5.
so that's 15 plus the 3 we were looking at before, plus the 2 mains, right?
Right.
Actually, no, it's going to be more than 2 mains. It's going to be
It's 4 mains. Oh, 3 mains plus the orchestrator.
yeah.
So
So
if
it's the
you,
one original one plus these 5, right? Because each one of these, each TypeScript version needs its own.
You can actually see it pretty well if you open the just the action itself, not in the PR, but if you just scroll to the top and then go to like the very top of the page.
Oh,
Yeah, and then go to actions and then just take the top one.
I see.
Yeah. And then on the left, you can see like all the agents that have been spawned and.
Cool. So this is fine. Okay, so this is good to know.
PNPM doesn't like that. Yeah, so let me quickly check where we actually have the TypeScript dependency.
Well, I think
if it's
looking
in the
at
root,
this, it's just I see what you're saying. I think I think it is in the root, and I think we'll just want to use the W flag here, right?
If it's in the root, then yes, that's what we want. If it's not in the root, we'd have to add it to like each. But it is in the root, so that's fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Let's
Let's
do that.
see.
Let's just.
Is it a dev dependency?
I think it's a dependency because in the root it doesn't matter. No, it's a dev dependency.
Yeah.
Then let's do dev dependency so it kind of like replaces it.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go back to our PR, and over here where we added
What's interesting is that, Altan, what I've seen is that only the type test matrix for 4.7 was running and the others were not running. And then the 4.8 says it was canceled because 4.7 failed. Are they kind of like dependent somehow?
I wonder if I saw a setting in this. We can confirm really quick.
Yeah, I think it's if any of them fail, you stop running any of the subsequent ones.
Yeah, I think the
Right.
matrix will fail fast if any of them run. Yeah, so there's something that we can set called.
But I don't think the others have really started. When I watched this like in live, it was just like the yellow spinning thingy was only running for the 4.7 and the others were looking pretty idle. I was just wondering if they're kind of like if there's one running and then the next one is running, if that's maybe. something that we get from the matrix?
I don't think so. What the other thing that might be happening is GitHub might say you can only, well, I guess there are a lot that claim to be running right now. So I don't know. Let's give it another try. But once there are two things actually. So
yeah, I think another thing we missed is we installed TypeScript on the main job, but I
But
don't
not
think
the
we
agent.
installed the specific version on the agent. Yeah.
Right.
So we'll need
Yep.
to copy this one over. But so here is that what we'll need, or do we just use -d for adding it as a dependency as a dev dependency at the root? I'm not sure.
Let me just look this up. In the meantime, the 15 agents are still like running. If I look at them right now, there's they're 3 minute 40 and they're going on, even though nothing is actually.
Yeah, so let's make a change for this too, because we can cancel these right now, but let's make it so we don't have to cancel.
Can we cancel them right now? I think you might need to, Dominik, because I don't have access, I think, on this repo.
Yeah, I can cancel the workflow.
Okay, and we'll make sure that we don't have to do this. So Zack, if you go back to the type test main job, what we want to do is add a final step after we run the nx command. And that will be, we can just call this like stop agents. And we'll run npx, nxcloud, or yeah, PM. I guess it should just be installed, but we're using npx up there. So yeah, and stop all agents. But let's also set the nxci execution env.
Oh yes.
So we stop it only for the impacted run group, and then I think that there is another property we can put under this called like on always. But let me verify that.
It did come up from Copilot. So
it's got to be right.
It is.
Sometimes Copilot just feels like mushy IntelliSense.
So it's not on always, it's if always.
Okay.
And always has parens after it, like it's a function call.
Like that?
Yep, apparently.
Cool. So now we need to take our
yes, installing is with -d, but I don't know, is the W after the D, is that like expected, or is this a...
So that the W option is for a workspace. So that's to signify when you're adding something that it gets added to the base instead of to a specific package. So it's kind of just like to confirm.
Yeah.
So after installing dependencies, we run that. Let's call this install our specific TS version. Cool. Is that everything we think? Should we give that a shot?
Yep. So now we would expect that even if there's another error, all of our agents should, they'll still run install, which isn't, ideal, but they'll run install and then shut themselves off. So we won't just have jobs that pend for the full 60-minute timeout.
Awesome. That's always nice, especially if you're paying for that CI. I don't think you are for Tanstack Query, because that's all on the free tier from GitHub.
It is,
right?
yeah.
Cool.
I didn't know that it could do 15 things in parallel.
I think it starts slowing down after a certain bit for how much it gives you even on the free tier. But let's add a commit here. I don't even know. We're just going with that.
Is it necessary to have 3 runners for each TypeScript version?
Definitely
Probably not.
We could definitely tone that number down.
Should we do 1?
So 1 would just be the same.
At that point, why use DTE?
Right, but we could do 2 and see what that looks like, and maybe it's a little more readable and still get the speed bump.
Okay.
Yeah, because the tasks are probably like this task is not going to be that expensive. The other tasks where we do linting plus, tests and everything, the tests are the ones that take a bit of time. I don't think that the TypeScript type checking is going to be the thing that's going to take a lot of time. So I think toning that down might be the right move.
I think so actually. So let's hit this, and I think what we're coming on is this is a cool experiment to show how we could use like the multi-dimensional matrix, and this might be very helpful for some use cases. I do think we may not need DTE for this idea. Like we may just want to use a matrix here and just have this as like instead of starting. I mean, I guess this would be as simple as turning these two lines off, right?
Yep.
Just that would be it. And now we're no longer using agents. I guess we'd still be spinning them up because we still have this job defined. But
yeah, if we want to step away from that, I mean, we could like kill the whole orchestrator thing and just have like one run left, right? Because there's also
exactly
in terms of the maintenance of this YAML file, if you always have like the orchestrator plus the agents, then it's a bit more, but definitely worth the gain. But if we don't want to use it, I'd rather like remove it completely.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see how it works with two agents.
Yeah, I think.
Did you push it?
I did. Yep. I see it running there. I don't see it failed yet, so that's cool.
It did fail.
I do see it failed. See what happened.
An X command not found. Oh, that's nice.
Oh, is it because we need to prefix it with npx here?
npx,
probably.
Yeah.
My bad.
This is, by the way, this is also something that I've encountered like a lot when something fails or I run something locally and it kind of like shows me the command and the command is always nx run something and I copy paste it. It's always like, oh, it doesn't work. Okay, then I need to go to the beginning of the line at the npx up front. Maybe this is something where the output could maybe like add the npx at the beginning just to make it copy pasteable.
Yeah, that might be reasonable because I think we are aware of your package manager already. So we could probably definitely.
I think I've got all of them covered. I guess it was just this one line we needed. Yeah. Let me check the original one just to make sure it matches.
So is this different with Yarn? Is there a different like is there an npx for other runners or
for Yarn you can just prefix it with Yarn, and then PNPM I think actually does it. I don't know if they actually have the alias for PNPX. Is this PNPX by default though? I think will go and download your package at that version, so it's not like just searching for your locally installed one. Don't quote me on that, but I think the
I've always
slightly different.
I've always used NPX, just even though we have PNPM, so, and it kind of like worked.
So maybe they do something there.
I think NPX would work with Yarn too, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it's all about how they choose to resolve it. So maybe it's all fine.
All right, let me give my little commit message.
So according to Stack Overflow, it would be PNPM exec, which is similar to PNPX, but they're planning to deprecate PNPX as far as I've seen here. That's from 2021.
Interesting.
From the maintainer. So PNPM exec apparently it is. No, never used that.
I feel like I heard of it before, but I haven't used it myself. Probably from crawling what we're doing in NX, because we just switched NX to PNPM not too long ago. So
nice.
Yeah, it's nice. There's some things that PNPM really frustrates me with, but on the whole, it's the speed boost. It's not so much the speed boost too. It's the amount of savings you get on your disk. That's pretty nice. So.
Yeah, no more NP kill.
Yeah, with all the videos I've been recording recently, that helps a lot. So I didn't know video files took up so much. I should have guessed, but I don't see any failures yet, so I'm happy at the moment.
Well, they're still on the installing of the dependencies.
Right. Oh my gosh. Look at all those agents. It's beautiful.
So every agent needs to like do the pnpm install on its own, right?
Yep, that's that's just a sad thing about having to spin up a unique machine.
I wish there was a way to like immediately share a cache from PNPM, like run the install first and then have that that cache to share. Looks like we're having some failures. The agents are finishing, but these are not. I guess that's expected if we see some failures, right?
Is completed. That is actually unexpected. Can we look at which version of the NX Cloud package we're running?
Sure.
Oh, it actually says it's 1605.
Oh, you see it?
Yep.
Yeah. That's the most recent, right?
Yes. So this makes me think that something is... Oh, no, you know what it is? Go back to our... Actually, I don't know what it is. Can you expand this error up on line 1 back in GitHub?
Do we need to give a group name?
So we shouldn't need to, but I am wondering, when we added the npx, are we specifying the NXCI execution env?
We are not.
That would be it.
Okay. I should have seen that because I was just running a find for all of these. I was noticing we actually had that for everything else, but there we go. So we need to add this like right here.
Yep.
Let's try one more time.
In the meantime, I've been looking at the NX Cloud dashboard, and I also haven't seen those show up there.
That I think makes sense because
we haven't really hit the point where we haven't succeeded to the point where they've actually been able to send the signal to NX Cloud.
Yeah. So I could see how that's a little misleading, but yeah, I do think currently that would be expected.
And the cool thing is, if I look at the NX Cloud dashboard, like, because every time you make a new push, it's like it always runs the ESLint and the test and the build, but it gets it all from the cache. So the last 3 ones are like 1 second builds that only read everything from the cache.
Yeah, and we've made some fun UI improvements over on here too. So for the individual task runners. So from some feedback we got new icons, all sorts of cool stuff. Hopefully it's a little easier to make your way around.
This must be the one we've been working on, pending run data. I guess that's because we're still waiting for it to come through.
Yeah, or the ones where we ran start CI run and then nothing came of it.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Oh, we have a first green type test.
Aha.
Woo, hey! Another one. Boom, boom.
Look at that.
On with the greens. Yes.
On with the greens. Keep them marching. Apparently 4.7 is a lot faster than the others.
It's because they added so many features. It takes longer to download 5.1.
I think it's the downloading, because if we look at them, what takes the longest time is actually install dependencies is 20 seconds, like all the dependencies, because it gets it from the PNPM cache, and then install the specific version is almost another 20 seconds on the 5.1.
Right.
Starting the agent here. Well, I guess starting the agent is maybe a bad way of naming this task. This is really just run the agent and wait for it to stop. So it's doing all its tasks, right?
Yes. Oh, here's one thing that actually, so this might be misleading. So I think actually the conclusion we might come to is that this will not be worth it to keep longer term, just because this is such small workloads.
Right.
But what I think actually is happening right now is we are getting false cache hits. So what we can do is actually go a little deeper on the NX config and let's add basically the value of our matrix to take the TypeScript version. Actually, no. Let's go look at the dashboard. Let's verify if this is the case or not.
Yeah, where do you want to
Good
look
point.
here?
So
CL branches.
Yeah, all of them are smaller than 1 second. Looks like they all came from the cache.
So there are two things. It's possible that we just didn't have any affected tasks here, which might be the case if we're using set SHAs. We might have to look at how set SHAs gets used here. So as a true sanity check, let's replace our affected with a run many -- all.
Or
So
just
we'll
change something somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah, that could work too. Yeah. So just change something
change a type to an interface in the query core or something, or the other way around.
Maybe something in package JSON, just like add something here.
Yeah, this should invalidate it too.
That's what I usually go for when I want to invalidate the cache.
Yeah, can you put anything in package JSON? Okay, cool. But
I think so.
After we've set this up, what I would really like to try is to maybe, because I'm not yet, I can see that we're installing the TypeScript version and anything, but just to be on the safe side, I would like to actually use a feature that compiles correctly in TypeScript 5.1, like maybe a satisfies or something, and then see it fail in 4.9, 4.8, and so on, but succeed in 5.0.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be amazing.
Let's see if we can get there. I guess let's watch the first one here to make sure we bust the cache correctly. I was seeing here, also maybe I'm a little confused about this, but when I click through to this run group, I only see one of them. Like I only see 5.1 showing up right now.
Right. So this makes sense because, and this is actually something that I would expect we're going to ship in the next couple of months. So the grand future is that this dashboard will actually change into your whole CI pipeline execution. And so the expectation then is that you'll have multiple run groups. And so you would be able to click into and see 5.1 or 5.0, 4.9, all the way down for whatever you've got. Right now, because this is working off kind of the previous way that we had these things configured, we're assuming that the run group is more isolated and not tied to the overall CI pipeline execution.
Gotcha. How would I get to the other ones?
So what you can do is up here, you'll be able to click on these, and we could maybe do something here where we show their environment or something instead of the timestamp for them.
Yeah, that would be helpful, I think. Oh, this is actually the one in progress, or one of the ones in progress. I guess this is 4.7. That's kind of neat. There we go. See those agents in action.
Yep.
And this is just one of the clusters, I guess. So
yeah, this is probably this is actually the main job. So without the type checking, I believe so.
Okay.
Oh no,
I think this is
test stuff. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of projects now.
Oh, and we failed. Let's see what happened. Looks like
the top one,
the query dev tools. Oh, interesting.
Wow.
That is interesting. Is this a TypeScript issue?
we didn't change it. Oh, and the problem is that all the others have now stopped. We can't see if it works in 5 point something because it stops as soon as 4.7 failed.
Okay, so let's do two things here. Let's make it so the matrix continues on error. So if we go to both the agent and this one under strategy, but above matrix, you can say continue -on-error and say that is true.
Oops. And we'll want to put this on both, right?
Yep. and then we'll change your package JSON cache invalidation to blah2 or something.
Good call. Prettier's mad at me. What did I do?
I was very mad.
Something with my YAML. I don't know. Did I mess up something? Yes, I did. Thank you, Prettier. Prettier is so nice. But not as a Prettier. It's actually as like making sure I don't have syntax errors. Interestingly. Let's go back to package, and here we'll block 2. Here, busting cache. Can you error?
So I have a feeling that this error will persist.
The error should persist, but we should be able to see if it succeeds for subsequent versions of TypeScript now, at least.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, but I'm looking at this. This is a TypeScript error, so I think we may have done our job, but it may be that it's a TypeScript error that is actually has to do with how we're configuring TypeScript. Like it's not just enough to put us on 4.7. We have to put us on 4.7 and adjust this isolated modules option, right?
Maybe, but it's about the DevTools test TSX file, and I've quickly looked at it. It doesn't import or export anything, and this is what this error is. But then again, why didn't it fail like before? So that is it must have something to do with the TypeScript version at the end of the day. Maybe it's just maybe the things that we have just don't work with 4.7 on this specific like setup with the tests that we have. But let's see if it succeeds for other versions. Let's see how far we can go back. And I mean, worst case, we could just add this empty export at the end of this file if that makes TypeScript happy, because that's the suggestion in the error message. So if that's the only file where this is the case, we'll see.
Yeah, well, it's the only one that failed. All the rest of them succeeded, and there's no hits here as we intended. So we made sure we're not getting false positive on any of these because of the cache. But let's take a look. Oh, I think we just pass there. That would be concerning. Okay, no, they failed, I think.
Oh no!
Or did I fail?
It's the YAML file. It's the YAML file again.
Unexpected value, continue on error. Did I type that in wrong?
I don't think so. I took that right from the docs. Oh, I
wonder if we put it at the wrong.
We did
spot.
Put it in the wrong place.
Where does it need to go? Inside the matrix?
It needs to go at the job level. So one above strategy. And then we want to, I think where we had continue on error, we want to put fail fast, and we want to set that to false. So under strategy, but above matrix.
Like that?
Yep.
There we go.
The example that they've given is kind of whack because they're using a matrix, but it only has one entry. So it's like, why? You're kind of convoluting the example by adding a matrix here.
All right. Let's see how fast that one fails.
Fail fast.
Fail fast. Fail faster.
Okay, let's see. It's running.
This one check is just like mocking us, I feel like, at this point. You were so close 12 minutes ago.
All right. At least it seems to be a valid YAML configuration.
Perfect.
That's a good step. I do feel like whenever I work with the GitHub Action stuff, I do feel like a bad programmer because there's just so many commits I end up doing, like, forgot to fix this one thing, forgot to fix this other one.
That's the worst thing, right? It's the turnaround time for the cycles.
Yes.
I have seen someone, because I posted this on Twitter once, and there were 2 suggestions for these kinds of things. One was you can actually get like a validation for the YAML files with there's like a schema from the GitHub Actions. I think I have this in my editor, but I don't remember exactly what it was. And the second part was that someone actually suggested there is a way to run GitHub Actions like locally against the source code you have locally. So you don't have to actually push and let CI run it, but you can actually do it. I've never tried that, but it sounds actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's a package called Act. I think it's a Go package that tries to do it. I think that it's like I haven't personally used it. I have seen some mixed things about whether or not it can do all of the stuff you get with GitHub Actions, but it's probably a good like first step, especially if you pay for your pipelines. Like, because this would be, not super fun to receive the bill for if you had to debug for longer than an hour or whatever we're doing.
Well, yeah, especially if you're not used to it. And like we had in the first one, we just had runaway agents that would have been 15 of them that were running for an hour.
Exactly.
So that's not a fun bill.
So this is good that the agents are starting to complete. We got, more failures than I would have expected.
Well, we just
wait
have
for them all to finish. But we even failing on 5.1. So
yeah,
that's
I wonder
interesting.
what we've done here.
Let me jump into this one. I just want to see the most recent so we can see the error. If we can jump into is there a link for this towards the bottom?
There should be.
Take a look at what happened.
So it's the test types.
That's interesting.
It's always with the tests. I have a feeling like that maybe before we weren't actually like type testing the tests, but then again, we do have type tests that actually like are made for this, so that so something is weird.
Yeah.
But 5.0 ran. Wait a second, 5.0 ran through, and 5.0 is the version that we use locally, like the one that we have checked into the repo. That's sick.
Okay, so it worked actually.
This is the most coincidental output. I would have never expected this. Like the version that we use works, and every other version doesn't. That's insane.
That's helpful information. I feel like, right, Dominik?
Well, we have to say like either we were very lucky with the version that we are using,
right,
or there's something not quite right here. I don't know. Maybe the over installing TypeScript over the other version. I don't know. Maybe that's.
It's worth looking into, though. It is very strange.
Well, I feel like we may have been succeeding on the version you actually use locally, because when you hit type errors with it, you would go fix them. But for other ones, you hadn't been checking yet.
That's
so I
true.
wonder if that's why.
Maybe for the 4.9 one is easy to fix. Like you go to this DevTools file and you add an empty export at the end, and then it should work. Yeah, and then we can run it again, because I think 4.8 and 4.7 probably have the same problem.
Let's give it a try. So it was source. Let me just grab this, I guess.
Yeah.
And we'll fix that.
And then one thing I've seen is that we are actually, in order to run the type tests, we do have to run a build. So we do run like rollup and the build types in order to test the types, because the way our TypeScript is set up is that the packages depend on each other, but they're not depending on the source. They are depending on the actual build output. So in order to actually get TypeScript to compile correctly, you need the build output of the other packages that you depend on. And I guess I guess that's fine, but the question is, will this still be cacheable then? Because actually a build of like our types or a rollup build that we make that has as an input a different TypeScript version probably cannot be cached or shouldn't be cached for like other TypeScript versions, right?
Right, that's correct. So that would be, yeah, I think that you're exactly right. You would, I guess it's not guaranteed that you would end up with different output, but I wouldn't want to trust it, just like the way
Yeah.
TypeScript versions. So yeah, that would definitely be like a reasonable thing that actually the DTE might help with if the build takes a little longer.
Yeah, exactly. So, but does that mean, do we have like the TypeScript version as an input for our cache busting already, or is this something that we need to still set up?
I think we need it because we saw before, like we were getting cache hits when we shouldn't have, because it should have been a different TypeScript version.
Right.
So
yeah,
we definitely need to add that in. I think we can do that in our NX.json here for our test types. And here, this would be an input, correct? Do you recall how to get like a specific dependency from?
Oh,
a specific dependencies. I am not sure, but we could set it as an environment variable and have it trigger off of the matrix.
Oh, okay.
And that
because environment variables are automatically used as a like part of the cache, or is this something you would then also need to add here as input?
So we would add it in the pipeline, and then we would add it here as an input, because we would assume that if there's nothing set, you're running with the base package JSON, and you're probably safe to reuse the cache.
Okay. I do remember, maybe I'm wrong, but I do remember reading somewhere that like if you run a task with environment variables, then those are automatically taken as your basically into the cache input. So if you run the same task with two different environment variables, then it's cached separately.
No, so the way that this works is we actually don't assume anything about your environment variables, because just like if you were to echo your env, there's probably a lot of junk in there and things that might not be related to your project.
Yeah. So
we have to specify a specific environment variable. Is that just here in the inputs, Altan? I'm blanking on the syntax for that.
This looks like an object, and I think it has a single property called env, and then it gets a value of the name of our environment variable.
Okay, so this would be...
it could be whatever we want, because we haven't set it yet. Gotcha.
Okay, so we would, I guess first we should touch it in the PR YAML, right? Or do we already have it? Do we already have it with the CI execution? And I guess that one would need to be... Could we reuse this, or should we set a separate one?
We could use this. I think that would be fine just as a proof of concept, and then we can, if we clean up and submit this or choose to not use it, but this would be the easiest right now.
Just like this?
Yep.
Looks good. Okay. Let's do that.
I think that's a good learning for me personally, because I think we are running at work, we're running a couple of builds with different environment variables, and I guess we shouldn't cache them with each other probably somehow. So we need to add those environment variables as a cache input.
Yeah, because, it depends, because sometimes it's just like, like maybe if you're running, this is maybe a bad example, but like if you're running something that's like a one-off and it doesn't end up in your built output, then probably not needed. But if it's going to be in your built output somewhere, like really impact then definitely include that. And fortunately, most people don't have too many of those. So the config doesn't get that unwieldy.
Well, then maybe we are the exception, but we have like a lot of them. Like different like you make a build for an environment and it has different URLs it needs to connect to and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely you should use those as inputs then.
All right. Well, at this point, hopefully we'll see appropriate cache busting in place. And we should also see hopefully 4.9 or 4.7 rather. Wait, was it 4.9 or 4.7 that we fixed?
I think all of the 4s had the same error.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
All of the 4s. Maybe they have different errors now, but this error hopefully is gone.
I would hope that we would see all the errors when we ran the type check there. So I'm hopeful. We saw a lot of the other ones pass, a lot of the other tasks. So it would only be on that specific project, I think.
Yeah, which is
We'll have to
interesting.
see.
But I guess because it literally was just a describe block with something in it and nothing else.
Yeah.
It has no import and no export. Yeah, that is the.
So what is it
that's
testing?
where-
Wait, hang on. what is going on here?
Yeah, actually, we should remove this test. It's kind of.
I didn't notice
Look at
this.
this. It's,
Oh no.
I remember. I remember Arian said that he will bring over the test from the React query dev tools. I think this is a leftover from when we made the DevTools framework agnostic, and then we didn't bring over the React tests, but probably it was failing with there is no test or whatever.
Right.
So
yeah,
there's a flag you can pass like minus pass with no tests or something.
I think we could just add that to the config. Fail is sorry. Which one is it?
I know there's definitely the jest one that's like no fail.
Jest one is pass with no tests, I think.
Yeah.
Is it?
Why am I not? Okay.
Do we trust it? Do you trust that from Copilot?
Shouldn't I be getting? Well, I wonder if
now you have a typo. That's for sure.
On 13, yeah. Did you run install on the repo? Oh, you do have a node module, so
who knows? Let me just try. Good old restart TypeScript server. What is this? ESLint.
So we actually got the same error on the most recent run.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Delete the file.
Delete the file. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the only test that's in here now? Do we still need to find the...
Let me see. I can also delete it and run the test locally real quickly for this package. And then we'll see if the error says like no tests found, something. It does no test found, exiting with code 1, and then we just gotta find out like vite pass with no tests, something like this.
What's the name of the test task?
So it is pass with no tests. You can just go to, that's the thing. You go to the package.json and to the test type to the test lib. You just append minus pass with no tests for this specific package. I think that's the.
I think this would be the same as adding it to their vtest config. I was just hoping it should be that we, by doing it this way, we would get, type safety on it. But whatever I've got going on locally is messing with that. But let's leave it like that. Is that the right flag right there, Dominik?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Let's do that. And I should have deleted the file. Cool.
Yeah.
Say moving, filling, non-test.
I can take a look at the 5.1 error, which says view query plugin test object is possibly undefined. That's probably also easy to fix, but
yeah. Well, now we got to fix it across 5 different versions, which is fun. But yeah, we got that 3 times. It looks like, and all in test files, like you had mentioned. So you want to take a look at that file while I'm waiting for these actions to finish up?
Yep.
You can go from there.
Ooh, that seems to be. That's one with use queries, and that seems to be interesting because in 5.0 the type inference infers like a tuple, but maybe in 5.1 it infers an array, and then it wants us on the index access, it wants us to probably add an optional chaining afterwards.
Interesting.
So that's if that's the case, then it means that in 5.1, some of the types that we have on use queries won't actually like be inferred properly anymore. So if that's really the case, I would probably update to 5.1 locally and try to fix this properly, because this might mean changing something in the use queries types, and the use queries types are the most complex, well, not Zod or TRPC level, but for us, it's the most complex thing that we have.
Yeah.
So that's going to take a bit of time then. But that would be a very good find, actually.
The
Yeah.
rabbit
See if
hole.
this- yeah.
Well, we did
But-
find your one test that was doing nothing. So
Yeah.
nothing else.
Perfect.
We got that.
Why does this work on 5.0? I have no idea.
Yeah, it almost feels like a regression for 5.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, it's acceptable now.
It's
But
fine.
It's actually the interesting thing though is that it's not that we're not getting that error in 5.1 either.
Mm-hmm.
So they must have changed something about how they handle the isolated modules, where they're like, yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah. It doesn't need to import or export. It could just be itself.
Yeah.
Just like a node standing off by itself.
So it's really the version that we are using is the only one that works. That's so cool.
Uh-oh.
No.
All right, let's see what happened. I'm sorry, y'all.
Did you get at it?
I didn't. I forgot when you delete a file. Just another commit to add to the chain. Don't worry.
Hey, at least our turnaround time is decently fast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks to DTE and NX Cloud. Am I right? Brought to you by NX.
Yeah, Zach, you can't tell them that we're just failing the pipeline so you can screen share the dashboard more.
Exactly. Hey, I'm not actively trying to shill NX right now. It's just the most helpful tool for what we're actually doing. So I'm okay with that. Did I push it?
Interesting. Is the file actually deleted?
Maybe not. That's still untouched. Tests.
So it's not there.
You did delete it, yes?
Yeah, it's gone.
Well, you can see it actually in the previous one. So it says removing failing non-test, and then you have the delete, and then we pushed. And then
Am I looking at the wrong one? Maybe?
I don't know. That's bizarre.
So if I go to the pull request, I can see that the files are changed and that the one file has been deleted. But I don't see that a new pipeline has started, has it?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. It is a cache miss. Did we not check things out correctly? I wonder. That wouldn't make much sense, but I don't know how else we'd be able to see that that file exists even.
Yeah, like if you look at the start of the pipeline, does it tell you which commit triggered it, and we can just verify that?
Yeah, well, it says 17 minutes ago at the top, so this is probably not.
Oh, that is weird.
That's definitely not it then. Yeah. I see a green check next to this one. I wonder if it's something with my browser cache got mixed up.
No, I also see the green check mark. Super interesting. I can just try rerun jobs and see if that works.
Yeah, could you do that? I don't think I have access to that one.
Yeah,
just
make sure
run all the
yeah,
jobs.
all jobs.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's so interesting. Is that looks like a GitHub thing, unless I'm reading it wrong. Like GitHub tied this PR to the wrong logs or something.
It actually it didn't start anything. It just said, like, if you go back to the list where it says there is one 11 minutes ago and one 21 minutes ago, and the one 11 minutes ago didn't do anything. Like, why is it green and it didn't really run? And it's the same result as the one from 21 minutes ago, which is
that's the same thing I'm seeing.
One.
Yeah,
so it's super weird.
And this one had been green before, unless I'm going crazy, and now it's showing as pending.
Right.
So,
because I reran it. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm rerunning.
That makes sense, at least.
Now you see latest number 2 at the top.
Yes.
So there's like 2 runs for,
So attempt 1.
It's green, but it's red. Like, maybe it's more green than red, and that's why it's green. I don't know. Is that how it works?
I would hope not.
Yeah, it's actually
most of the things passed, so we're okay.
For the record, GitHub's still not having an incident.
Okay, good.
You never know. We're ready for an incident.
Chow in the chat. What's up, Chow? Nice to see you. Chow's one of the guys on the NX Cloud team right now. So cool to see him in here. Den DP, welcome back, sir. It was nice to see you. And Matthias, welcome. Hopefully this will pass. I would have really liked to have seen the thing you were talking about, Dominik, where we're adding the new feature for 5.1 only. I don't know if that's going to happen because we only got 3 minutes left on our scheduled time.
We don't need to, because 5.1 is failing, and if the others are going to go green now, then we have what I wanted to see, and then it means we need to look into the types of use queries. But
no, actually,
we're not there yet. It's still the same thing. I don't understand.
Failed now, at least. So that's that. But let's see.
Is this a different file, like source tests dev tools?
It could be. There's a couple that came up when I hit it. Yes, this is different. This is the React Query Dev Tools. Whereas last time I was doing the Query Dev Tools.
Oh, we have another one of those. Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's just bizarre though, because we saw. I would have thought
it's
that
another empty one. Yeah, you need to do the same thing. Delete the file and add the ---- pass with no tests to the
tests. Oh, there's more, so that should be fine.
No, you wanted React DevTools, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, React Query DevTools. I clicked on the wrong one.
There's Query DevTools and there's React Query DevTools, and they both basically have this stubby test left for future us to
find,
kind of make a real test. Yeah.
To remember that we did this. Pass with.
Yeah. Oh. I hope this was the only one, but let me just look at this Svelte query. Like,
yeah,
sure. Well, I mean, that's the weird thing that we didn't see this before, because we see Svelte query like passing here.
How many tasks are we running? Oh, so this is interesting too. So NX is actually failing when we get to this, and it's stopping our commands. That's why we weren't seeing the next one. So when we were failing before, we only had 14 tests running, but now we have 19 tests running. And so the idea here is that we want to show you your failure as fast as possible. But I do think there's a flag actually that says, hey, don't do this. Just run everything.
Yeah.
Okay. But the Svelte Query DevTools have no tests, and they don't even have a test task defined, so that's fine.
Cool.
Who needs tests? Let's just push it.
Needs tests. Well, who needs specifically? Who needed that test? Yeah. That one I think we can all get on board with. Right?
You heard it here first. That's the new Tanstack query motto, or the tagline. Who needs tests?
We have types, so that's
we have types.
It's better. Tests? We test at build time.
Yeah, I think that's
We're not
fairly
Next.js,
accurate,
so
actually. Yeah. It could be fun to do this with Canary too. We won't have time, obviously, but just adding it as like adding a new workflow over here that's just like test Canary and just
yeah.
cron job it. That would be quite neat. Now that we see how to do it, it's all the mechanisms are in place. It's just how we configure them, and we can do this however we want. So that's neat.
Yeah, with TypeScript, I think it works. With React, it's probably a bit more difficult because maybe there are different APIs you need to import from. Like, for example, between 18 and 17, you need to import from React DOM/client, and that's only in 18. And in 17, you have a different import and so on. So what we ended up doing was actually install both dependencies at the same time and give them a different alias. And then I think it's still on main, it was still Jest. And what I was doing was I was mocking the React imports and then basically with require actual getting the real ones depending on the environment I'm running in with 18 or 17. And then it kind of got to work.
I remember that when we were looking at migrating to VTest in main. So I believe main is still working with Jest, correct?
I haven't touched it. If you haven't done it, then yes, that's what it is.
We had that big PR, and we ended up axing it. And
right, yeah.
So
yeah,
because we just, I guess that was a while ago now, but we figured, who needs it on the legacy stuff when it's on the newer stuff at the time. So.
But the good news is we are going to get version 5 out sooner than later. So we have like over 70 alpha versions now, and I just haven't moved to beta because of this Next.js thing that we're working on with streaming and suspense. But once we have that, we're probably going to move to beta and then very quickly. Yay!
Do you see that?
That looks good. That looks good.
Come on, 4.8. Come on, 4.8.
And then 5.1 is in the red. We know that.
One thing I'm almost surprised by, Altan, by the way, is regardless of whether tasks on the agents fail, these will always go green, right? Our agents.
We're working on that actually. That should be
neat.
That should be a mostly solved problem. There's like a weird case where basically, let's say we had like, I don't know, a E to E test or something in a more traditional project that was running for a long time, and your other agents legitimately finished their work and there was nothing left for them, so they turned themselves off, right? We can't make those ones fail. But yeah, we're trying to get to the point where if, an agent on or a task on agent 1 fails, then 2 and 3 will also fail, assuming that they were running at the time the failure happened.
I guess it's not too interesting to see if an agent failed or not, because really all the logs would be replayed on the orchestrator anyways.
Right? Yes, so. But it is a big usability win when you can just click rerun failed jobs.
Oh, that's true. But would that only run? Oh, I guess that would
rerun your agent
and all of its sibling agents too, I would imagine. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
So
that
that's
makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 5.1 is still failing. We saw that was failing already, but do we call this a win?
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so I hope, you can play with it a little bit, and Zack, I'm sure, will be involved with this if it makes sense to keep DTE enabled or not, but it's very easy to set up just drastically different environments for your agents to run in. So hopefully that was cool for anybody who was watching. The interface is only going to improve over the next couple months. So, we'll probably have another thing where we're like Mac OS and Windows, we'll show that off. So be on the lookout, I guess.
Yeah, that would be cool. And just being able to see like all of these things together at once in the interface would be super helpful too.
Definitely.
So yeah, I know that's part of the stuff that we're working on. So, but cool. All right. Well, folks, we did it. Dominik, thank you so much for stopping by and for I don't know, I guess letting us try out some new features. I guess it's not a new feature, but configuring this stuff out. So it was fun.
Absolutely, it's awesome to have you like contribute these things to Tanstack query, because at the end of the day, like I'm and we are, getting the benefits from it as well. So thank you.
Yeah, great to
Awesome.
meet you and work with you. Fun
Yeah.
time.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right.
Well, let's end it there. Thanks, y'all, and we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.